What's going on, guys? Hoping you guys are doing fine like I am here. Welcome back to my channel. So guys, in today's video, as you can see from the title, I'm gonna be telling you how you can start a successful podcast step by step. So I'm gonna be dividing this video into 3 parts. I'll tell you what's a podcast, the equipments you need to start a podcast, and how you can ensure that your podcast is successful, how to make your podcast successful. So guys, make sure to like this video because it's gonna be so interesting. In case you have any questions, definitely ask in the comment section down below. I'll be answering you guys as always. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So just in case you're wondering what is a podcast, a podcast is a conversation, or it's whereby people get to talk about different kind of things. You can have a podcast for anything. You can have a story time podcast if you are good at storytelling. By the way, many people love storytelling podcasts. So if you are good at storytelling, you can start your podcast. You can start a podcast on horror stories, on reviews, talk about current affairs. You can invite your guests. You can talk about simply anything. And the good thing is that you don't have to show your face. Depending on where you host your podcast, you don't have to show your face. And another very good thing about podcast is that it's easy because there's not much, doing dramatizing. No. What we want to do is to listen, to hear. So you don't want to see ati you unapika, sijui unaenda wapi. No. It's so easy to shoot a podcast because you don't involve so many things. So what are those equipments that you need to start a podcast? Bearing in mind, people can actually tell when the content is good and when the content is bad. If you give people bad or poor quality content, they are not going to come back and they are not going to finish listening to your podcast. You want to retain your audience. You want people to watch maybe your 1 hour long podcast or whatever the length of your podcast. So one very important equipment you need is a microphone. For quality sound, for you to give us quality sound, you definitely need a microphone. Another thing you need is a computer, and you also need to have your headphones. Actually, those 3 are the basic starter parts. Like, if you have those 3, you're good. And you also need a web host. You need to know where you're going to host your podcast. And also have an editing software in mind, like a software that you will use to edit this podcast, because definitely you're not going to give us the raw content. You need to edit. You will need to edit the podcast so that it can, you can cut out all the bad things and, retain the good things, improve 1 or 2 things. So you need to have an editing software in your mind. So now, after you have all that, how to start a podcast. So this is the main giant of the room. So to start a podcast, one thing you need to have is a niche. When I say a niche, I mean you need to have a name for your podcast, a title for your podcast, and you need to choose a very good name that is interesting. I have seen podcasts with very interesting names. You need to have a name that is interesting and one that is memorable. People will remember it, So you need to have a good name, a good topic, like have something you will be talking about. If it's about horror stories, let it be that. Don't mix up your content. If you want to be inviting your friends and, giving your stories, then let it be about that. If you want to have an entertaining story time, if you're good at telling stories, then podcast it is for you. Because podcasts are all about talking and talking and talking, and you need to be, a fun person so that your audience can watch you till Another thing you need to consider is the length of your podcast. How long do you want your podcast to be? You need to know that. And then now ensure you have a target audience. Is your podcast targeting the male? Is it targeting the female? Is it targeting a certain age, or both male and female? You need to know all that. That is what we call a niche. You need to have an idea in your mind so that once you start posting, you are going to attract that specific kind of people. You don't want to attract different forms of people, and then in the process you will get confused. So now, after you have a niche, the second step is now the recording. One good software for recording is Audacity. And guys, make sure that you check, counter check if your software is recording, because you don't want to talk for 1 hour, and then when you go to check your podcast, ukute hata haikuwa ina record. What? That is the worst mistake you can do, because you'll have to repeat. So before you can even start talking for 1 full hour, make sure you counter check and confirm that it's recording. Recording goes hand in hand with editing. So don't worry about those random pauses that you can make, or stammering, or once you start doing this, you'll realize that you have some fishy behaviors, like maybe repeating yourself. So the only way you can correct all those is through editing. So once you're done with recording, edit to cut out those pauses, those random things that you do, maybe the repetition of words. Yeah, you can cut all those things so that you can be left with a clean podcast, a 1 hour full of perfection. Eliminate those background noises, because there's always distractions going on. So editing is so important. So once you're done with recording and then editing, the next thing to do is to export your file. So most of the time, the formats that are mostly accepted by all virtual media players are usually MP3 and WAV. So make sure you export with that format. After you're done exporting, you save your file. Now the next thing is to look for a web host. You'll realize that most web hosts actually charge you to host you. Yeah, and I know many people want to start a podcast, but they don't have money. So they are actually free web hosts. For example, SoundCloud. If you're starting a podcast, if you're a beginner, you can start by hosting at SoundCloud, because it's going to give you free podcast hosting. Another place you can host for free is YouTube. I know many people, tend to ignore the fact that you can do a podcast here on YouTube. YouTube is actually a very good place to host your podcast, because it's always free to post on YouTube. And you don't have to make a complicated podcast here on YouTube. Just record yourself. You can even search and see how other podcasts on YouTube appear, and try and make yours like the others, because you cannot, no man is an island. You have to be like the others. Another host for podcasts, this one is widely known. I mean, who doesn't know this? iTunes. For iTunes, all you need to have is a good title, a good description of your podcast, because that is what is marketing your podcast. Of course, the title and the description, and then look for an image that will be a thumbnail. So you can see it looks almost similar to YouTube, but then iTunes is good because many people go there to look for podcasts. So if you post your podcast there, it has more chances of getting to be known by people. Of course, we have many other web hosts that you can host your podcast. For example, we have Amazon S3, we also have Podbean, we also have Podomatic, we also have Fireside. So that is basically how you can start a podcast. So let's go to the last step. Grow your podcast. Definitely you want to grow your podcast. Everyone wants to have an audience. I mean, you don't want to just do a podcast and then you are watching it alone. So you want to have an audience. I have seen podcasts having as many as 12 million views. Imagine. And you guys should know that podcasts are becoming the thing right now. They are like, the competition is not stiff. So you can be among the first people to start a podcast. The early you start, the better for you. There are actually more than 600 million bloggers. Imagine, in the whole world. Yet they are not enough. There are only about 1 million podcasts in the world. And I know one day they are going to be 600 million. So be among the first ones to start before people can come and, cause jam. And right now, podcasts are actually a thing. So if you can really do this, just start. So how you can grow your podcast? First of all, you need to be so consistent. Like, consistency is key in everything. Even if you want to start a business, even if you want to go to school, you have to be consistent. You have to persevere all the challenges. Like, consistency is the key to everything. So even on podcasts, you have to be consistent. If you decide to be posting a video each and every Monday, each and every Tuesday, you have to stick to that. Sacrifice your time, shoot a video, record, edit, and post it each and every day. Like, not each and every day, at least once in a week or something. You can decide on a schedule that you want, that is comfortable for you, and then now be consistent with it, because that is what will be guiding your audience. They'll be knowing every Monday I have a podcast to listen to, okay? And then another thing, concentrate on the feedback. The feedback that your audience is giving you is very important. That is what will make, for example, iTunes to recommend you to other people. So if you get comments, make sure to reply to them. Make sure to engage your audience actively, and also the reviews. Make sure that you encourage people to review you, to comment, to engage, Ensure you tell your people to engage. If you don't tell them, of course they won't know. So be telling your audience to engage with you. So guys, in case you have any questions, ask me in the comment section down below. I'll definitely be answering you as always. And in case you need a more detailed video on how to start a podcast, ask me in the comment section down below. I'll do it for you guys. So yeah, I hope this video was informative. Guys, please don't forget to like this video. It really helps me to know the kind of videos you love. So please leave a like, okay? And share to your friends in case this was useful. Let's chat on the comment section down below. Tell me what you think. Ask me any kind of questions. Tell me the kind of videos you want to watch. And I hope you guys are enjoying 31 days of growth. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing this video. I'm really enjoying this series. What do you guys think? So until tomorrow, guys, make sure you subscribe so that you won't miss out on tomorrow's video. And also, share with your friends in case this was useful. And yeah, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.